Hello, welcome to another deep dive. I wanted to do this video in robes, but I'm realizing that it's very swishy. So I'm gonna take these off because I fear that it might sound annoying. Just like I said when I was filming as Regulus, this wig probably will not stay symmetrical. I will try my best to fix it when I can. Today I have a lot of energy. I think you can tell. So today's deep dive is going to be on the noble and most ancient House of Black. This video idea was requested by quite a few people, so here I am. I have a few disclaimers before I get into this one. Number one is that this is going to be a Marauders focused deep dive into the Blacks. I'm not going to be talking about Harry Potter canon all that much. A lot of this is going to be based off of both the canon and the fanon of the Marauders. And then number two, I'm not going to be doing a detailed explanation of the whole family tree. One, because I don't want to do that. Two, I don't understand it, so I can't really do that. There's already a very good video essay on the whole family tree of the Blacks, which I will link in a card somewhere on one side of my screen. Okay, that was a lot of disclaiming in one breath for some reason. Who are the Blacks? The Blacks are one of, if not the oldest families in the wizarding world. In the canon timeline of Harry Potter, they aren't really mentioned that much, especially as an actual whole family, because Sirius and Regulus die out, and so the Blacks just kind of die out as a family because of them. In the Marauders era, they were actually a family and everyone wasn't dead. They were one of the Sacred 28, which is a group of 28 pure blood wizarding families. The Blacks are often regarded as the top of this pure blood wizard food chain. They're the number one family. They were known to be incredibly rich and very high status. Their family motto was toujours pur, which means always pure, which fits because their whole thing is blood purity. They think that they're superior than everyone else because their whole family is only pure bloods. And they're so intense about this that they hate muggles and they would disown any members of the Black family who like muggles, who give them respect, who marry them especially. If you like muggles, you're out. You're not allowed in our club, basically. That's the Blacks. And because of this, they are quite the incest family. Think of Game of Thrones type shit. That is the Blacks. They have that going on. It is a very common thing in the Black family to marry your own cousins and have children with them. Yikes. The Blacks were always associated with dark magic and Voldemort. During the First and Second Wizarding War, they actively supported Voldemort. Quite a few Blacks did get the Dark Mark, including Bellatrix and Regulus, and also Lucius, though he married into the Blacks, but he still kind of counts. Sirius's parents were never Death Eaters, although they openly supported Voldemort. Another note about the Blacks is that because of the incest, they all look very similar. Very common Black features are dark or black curly hair, high cheekbones, and arched eyebrows. As well, the Black family house, their main house, is 12 Grimmauld Place, which is in Muggle London. Never really made sense to me considering that they hate Muggles so much. Why are you guys literally in a Muggle apartment complex? It's a very dark apartment. All the walls are black because there's a Black family. This house is where the family tapestry is. This is where a lot of these characters come from. The tapestry lists every single Black, minus the ones who are disowned, because they had their portraits blown off by Sirius's mother, Walpurga. She burns them off. Perfectly same thing to do. That was a joke. Obviously, it's not. Black family morals and associations. Their number one thing is toujours pur, which of course means always pure in French. And this direct quote comes from the tapestry, and you can see it on the side of the tapestry. This is also why and where the whole the Blacks are French and Sirius and Regulus are French headcanon comes from. So often you'll find in fanworks and fanfiction that Sirius and Regulus speak French. Je me parle un peu de français, donc je suis Sirius. Vrai. There's something very funny about just going real, but in French and just going vrai. No! The air conditioning just started. I'm so sorry, guys. That sucks. Their whole thing is honor, dignity, grace, purity, and superiority. A common thing is Walpurga is saying to Sirius, honor and dignity at all times. The Blacks are always expected to be very put together and very, headstrong all the time. Who is a Black? I'm gonna break this list of characters into 3 little groups. Sirius, Regulus, Bellatrix, Narcissa, and Andromeda. Walpurga, Orion, Druella, Sigonus, and Alfred, and Draco, Tonks, and Lucius. So now I'm going to basically break down all of these characters, like lore, essentially, and explain their like relation to the House of Black and like what happens with them. So I'm starting with Sirius. Sirius is the older brother of Regulus and the son of Orion and Walpurga. Need to mention, her name is actually Walburga with a B. However, for this entire video and my editing, I'm going to be spelling and pronouncing her name with a P because that is the only way that I've learned how her name is spelled. So Sirius is the only Black to ever be sorted into Gryffindor instead of Slytherin. Even the other members of the family who were disowned were still sorted into Slytherin. Because of this, there's a rift between him and his family instantly that only grows more and more as he gets older. At Hogwarts, Sirius makes friends with the Marauders, Remus, James, and Peter. His family doesn't approve of his friends because Remus is a half-blood, James's family are blood traders, and Peter comes from a squib family. That's a common headcanon with Peter. They produce a lot of squibs, which are non-magical wizards. So that's why his parents don't like Peter. Sirius stays undeterred by their opinions of his friends. Sirius was the literal black sheep of the Black family. He never believed in any of the blood purity bullshit that they were spewing. He never gave in to the brainwashing. He was always having an open mind and thinking for himself, which is why he ended up being friends with various different people, whereas all the other Blacks never really ventured outside of just the Slytherins in their own family. This is specifically fanon, and this is from All the Young Dudes. Just needed to specify. In the Christmas of 1976, his parents pressure and torture Sirius into getting the Dark Mark, which he refuses to do. His parents take turns using unforgivable curses on him, in particular the Cruciatus curse. Crucio. Use that curse on him. I'm laughing, but it kills me. Canonically, we've switched back to canon. When he's 16, he ends up running away and getting kicked out of Grimmauld Place, and he never goes back. He lives with the Potters until he comes of age. He does try to get Regulus to come with him. He asks him to come with him, but Regulus refuses, and he stays at Grimmauld Place. Sirius joins the Order of the Phoenix to fight in the First Wizarding World after he graduates from Hogwarts in 1978. He ends up in Azkaban after getting framed by Peter Pettigrew for the murders of the Potters in 1981. He gets killed by his cousin Bellatrix in 1995 before the Second War. His last words were, "Nice one, James," and that makes me very unwell. Regulus Black. I am once again talking in depth about Regulus Black on this channel. Regulus is the younger brother of Sirius and the son of Orion and Walpurga. He was sorted into Slytherin House during his time at Hogwarts. Sirius and Regulus were close when they were kids, but once they got into Hogwarts and were separated by the houses, a rift formed between them, which they never ended up fixing. Regulus was a good student, good enough to get into the Slug Club, a club for high-achieving academics formed by Professor Slughorn. It's often headcanoned that he was a prefect during some of his years at Hogwarts. When at Hogwarts, he befriends Barty Crouch Jr., Evan and Pandora Rosier, and Dorcas Meadows, which these friends his parents do approve of because they're all Slytherins and they're all purebloods. Regulus gets the Dark Mark a year after Sirius fails to do so at 16. He, unlike his brother, did believe in the Black family motto and blood purity, and he wanted to be a Death Eater at one point in his life. He canonically has newspaper clippings of Voldemort in his bedroom, like how I have posters in my room. Like, his posters were Voldemort. Reg, why? Regulus leaves Hogwarts after his 6th year, never finishing his 7th. He works as a Death Eater during 1978 to 79, but at some point during 1979, Regulus changes his mind about being a Death Eater after seeing how far Voldemort is willing to go to achieve his goals. As well, Voldemort tries to injure the Black family house elf creature, and this is truly like too much for Regulus. He cannot do this, and he refuses to do this. So he betrays Voldemort, and he steals his locket from its hiding place. He is the first person to ever find out about the Horcruxes. Regulus dies stealing the locket. He is pulled under the water and drowns by the... I don't know what they're called. The creatures that live in the cave. The weird hand skeleton things. Yep. He dies receiving the locket and swapping out the real one with a fake, which is the one that Harry and Dumbledore go to retrieve in the Half-Blood Prince. Before he dies, he writes a note that he leaves inside of the locket that reads, To the Dark Lord, I know I will be dead long before you read this, but I want you to know that it was I who discovered your secret. I have stolen the real Horcrux and intend to destroy it as soon as I can. I face death in the hope that when you meet your match, you will be mortal once more. R.A.B. He wrote a cunty note and then died. Nor his parents or Sirius know the actual cause for his death. Regulus died being faithful to his parents in their eyes, and he died as a Death Eater in Sirius's eyes, when the opposite is actually true. He sacrifices himself for a good cause, you know, not Death Eaters. Harry discovers that truth after Sirius died, so yeah, that fact definitely doesn't make me ill. Regulus died at the age of 17 or 18. A note about Regulus and the Blacks is that a very common headcanon for Regulus is that he is trans, which has a whole dynamic considering that the Blacks are bigots. So before I start talking about the Black Sisters, I want to just make a little note. So in canon, the Black Sisters ages go Bella, Andy, Sissy, but the fanon is Andy, Bella, Sissy. By the way, they have nicknames. All the Black Sisters have nicknames. Andromeda is Andy, Bellatrix is Bella, and Narcissa is Sissy. So in fanon, Andromeda is the oldest, but in canon, Bellatrix is the oldest. The Black Sisters are a few years older than the Black Brothers. Narcissa and Bellatrix attend Hogwarts with them, but only for around 2 to 3 years. Andromeda Black. Andromeda Black is the oldest sister of Narcissa and Bellatrix. She is the daughter to Drella and Sigonus. Andromeda was sorted into Slytherin House during her time at Hogwarts. While at Hogwarts, she was very close with her sisters. While there, she meets Ted Tonks, who is a Muggle-born wizard. After she graduates, she marries him. A note about Ted is that some people will say that he was just straight up a Muggle, or that he was Muggle-born. I think canonically he is a Muggle-born wizard. I think why people mix up the two is because people just left out the word born after Muggle. But I'm pretty sure he was a wizard. So because she marries a Muggle-born wizard, she gets disowned because the Blacks are all about blood purity, and how dare you marry someone who isn't incestuous with their cousins. This is fanon. When she's kicked out, she asks Narcissa to come with her, very similarly to Sirius asking Regulus. Andromeda and Narcissa very much mirror Regulus and Sirius. And just like Regulus, Narcissa refuses. She can't. She has a duty, so she thinks. Andromeda is severed any contact from her family because she got kicked out, although she does stay in touch with Sirius because the two were always close. They are the only two who don't actually believe in the whole blood purity thing. Sirius doesn't care about anything that the Blacks say, so of course he's not gonna care where they're like, you can't contact your cousin. He said, fuck you, I'm gonna contact my cousin. She has a child with Ted Tonks in 1973 named Nymphadora Tonks. She helps out and aligns herself with the Order during the Second Wizarding War, but during it both her husband and her daughter were killed. She survives them, and she raises Nymphadora's son, Teddy Lupin. We are not mentioning Remus in this video. Hell no. Okay. Narcissa Black / Malfoy. Narcissa Black is the youngest sister of Bellatrix and Andromeda. She is daughter to Drella and Sigonus. Narcissa was sorted into Slytherin House. She was very close with her sisters. When she was there, the Black sisters were each other's friends. Yep. At Hogwarts, she meets Lucius Malfoy. Narcissa is a Seeker on the Gryffindor Quidditch team, and Regulus is also on the Quidditch team. So, depending on the years, sometimes they are on the team together. This is fanon, this is all the young dudes lore again. In Sirius's second year, his parents force him into an arranged marriage with Narcissa, who is his cousin. They get out of this by Narcissa creating a unbreakable vow with Lucius, and the vow is that she has to marry Lucius. Like, she will literally die if she doesn't get to marry Lucius. So after she graduates from Hogwarts, she marries Lucius, and in 1981 she has a son, Draco Malfoy. Something to note is that the Blacks get married very, very early on. They get married at 18 and have children like super, super early because they're a weird family. Narcissa does believe in the blood purity of the Blacks, and she does support Voldemort because, you know, her husband is a Death Eater, but she does falter, and she protects Harry Potter from death during the Second War. lying to Lord Voldemort when he asks her if he's dead. This is why the Malfoy family does not have to serve time in Azkaban after the Second Wizarding War. Bellatrix Black / Lestrange. Bellatrix is the middle sister of Andromeda and Narcissa. She is daughter to Drella and Cyganus. Bellatrix was sorted into Slytherin house. She, again, was very close with her sisters. Bellatrix meets Rodolphus Lestrange at Hogwarts and marries him after she graduates. A fanon that I've seen about this is that it wasn't as like arranged as the marriage between Narcissa and Sirius would have been, but it's not a marriage of love necessarily. Like, she does it for power. She becomes a Death Eater pretty early on, and she gets the Dark Mark at either 17 or 18. Bellatrix is the only Black from this generation, this group of characters, who is and was entirely loyal to Voldemort, because everyone else falters or betrays, you know. She is the only one who truly was evil. Sorry, I had to say it. I'm cosplaying Sirius. Do you think that I have a giant soft spot for Bella? Not really. Sorry. She participates in many murders and tortures. The Longbottoms, Sirius, Nymphadora, Dobby, etc. She was captured and sent to Azkaban at the end of the First War, and is killed by Molly Weasley in the Second War. Not my daughter, you bitch. So true, Molly. It's never really explained why she goes insane. I think anyone who's raised by the Blacks goes insane to an extent. Having to be loyal to someone like Voldemort and like living your life in like alignment to him would probably make you lose your mind a bit. If anyone has like actual fanon or like an explanation of why she kind of turned out the way that she did, I'd be really interested to hear it. Now we're moving on to the parents and the like older, the adult Blacks, Walpurga and Orion Black. They are Sirius and Regulus's parents. They're cousins. Their parents are cousins. So that's something. Oh god. Walpurga's parents are Pollux Black and Irma Crabbe. Orion's parents are Arcturus Black and Melania Macmillan. That sounds so European. Orion's father's name is Arcturus Black, and Arcturus is Regulus's middle name, which is why he goes by R.A.B. They are both in canon and fanon abusive towards their sons. Walpurga is known to have like a very nasty personality. Her portrait in the Black family household will scream at anyone who isn't a pureblood. That's literally her lasting impact. It's being a bigot. She's an intense and severe cold woman. Orion is more calm than his wife, but he's distant and cold in like his own way. He's very like removed from loving his children. A common thing that I see with Walpurga is that she did love Sirius at one point, but she was so warped and brainwashed and just kind of like rotten that didn't matter, and she still like ruined him essentially. So some people do believe that Walpurga genuinely loved Sirius. That's heavy. That's some heavy stuff. Drella and Cyganus Black. Drella was a Rosier, but she married into the Blacks. I can't find anything about Cyganus's family. People don't really focus that much on the Black sisters' parents. Like, they don't have as much lore that I could find. Drella and Cyganus, they kicked Andromeda out and were the reason why she was disowned. They share similar shitty parenting styles to Walpurga and Orion, although it's never said if they are abusive, like physically. I can assume that they were abusive mentally. Alfred Black. He was Sirius and Regulus's uncle, and Walpurga and Cyganus's brother. He dies from an unknown cause in either 1976 or 77. Alfred leaves Sirius money in his will, which displeases the Blacks, and he's disowned and removed from the family tapestry, because at that point, Sirius has already been disowned. A common headcanon that I see about Alfred is that he was also disowned for being gay. Now we're on to the more distant related Blacks who don't have their last name being Black, but they are. Also, I'm not going to break down these characters because they are Harry Potter characters and their whole stories are very blatantly in the books and the movies. Draco Malfoy, he is the son of Narcissa Black. He is the first cousin once removed to Sirius and Regulus. Nymphadora Tonks, the daughter of Andromeda Tonks. Andromeda Black Tonks. The first cousin once removed to Sirius and Regulus. We don't talk about Remadora. It doesn't exist here. Remus? What does Remus have to do with the Black family? Nothing. Next. Moving on. Lucius Malfoy. Husband of Narcissa, brother-in-law to Bellatrix and not so much Andromeda because she's not a part of the family, but technically he is. The disowned Blacks, the ones who are burned off of the tapestry, are Ilsa, who married a Muggle, Phineas, who supported Muggle rights, Edwardius, unknown reason, Marius Squibb, Cedrella married a Weasley and is Arthur Weasley's mother, Alfred supported Sirius, Sirius, a lot of reasons, but I think the main one is that he was like a blood traitor. Andromeda married a Muggle. What? Andromeda married a Muggle-born. What the fuck is a Muggle? Those aren't all the Blacks, obviously. There is literally 10 million. I will put me scrolling through the list here. A lot of these characters, just as everything in the Marauders, barely have anything said about them. There is like their name and that's basically it. So I'm not going to break those characters down. But the Black like lineage goes back many generations, and it's a whole lot of people. So the fan casts of the Blacks are Sirius, Ben Barnes, Regulus, Timothy Chalamet, and if you know, you know, someone else. Andromeda, Keira Knightley, Narcissa, Sarah Gadon, Bellatrix, Katie McGrath, Walpurga, Ava Green, and Orion. I don't know his actual name, I will put it here, but it is the actor who plays Cyganus in a fan film. Like, you will often see clips using the actor who plays Cyganus to portray Orion, which makes sense. This is kind of niche, but I wanted to talk about it because I think it's cool. I don't know how to pronounce this word, the etymology of the Blacks. If you noticed or didn't notice, the Blacks are all named after stars and like astrology type thing. So, Sirius is a star. Sirius is the brightest star in the sky. Sirius is also known as the dog star, which, you know, he's an animagus, Padfoot, he's a dog. Love that for him. Regulus is also named after a star. It is one of the other brightest stars in the sky. And that makes me very sad because the brightest stars burn the fastest. In Roman, Regulus means little king or prince. Bellatrix means warrior in Latin. Narcissa isn't actually named after a star, but her name means sleep or numbness in Greek, which is kind of cool because she is a character who is kind of passive. Like, she isn't a Death Eater herself, she kind of just goes along with the whole Black thing. So her name meaning numbness is interesting to me. Andromeda is named after a whole galaxy. And it's kind of funny that they gave her like the coolest name because they hate her. And her name means to rule in Greek, which I agree because Andy does rule very much. Orion is a constellation. His name means heaven's light, which I don't think suits him. And Walpurga was never named after like a star or anything astrology based, and it's never explained why. So one thing about the Blacks, as I've mentioned with all the incest and everything, is that they are related to like every single person. So in particular, they're related to the Longbottoms, so Neville, and the Potters, so James and Harry. Because of Harfang Longbottom and Charles Potter, they married into the Black family. I found a list of every single wizarding family that the Blacks are related to. Think of every single like Harry Potter family you can think of. Like, keep their name in your mind and see if they're related to the Blacks. They are going to be. The Blacks are related to the Max, Blishwick, Flint, Hitchkins, Gamp, Bulstrode, Burke, Waxley, Macmillan, Crabbe, Potter, Peverell, Gant, Longbottom, Fortescue, Weasley, Delacour, Johnson, Granger, Crouch, Pruitt, Rosier, Lestrange, Malfolia, Tonks, Malfoy, and Lupin families. Yeah. A lot of these are very distantly, but it's still in their family tree. It's still there. Sirius is still related to half of his friends. Same goes for Harry. Draco is distantly related to Hermione, and Sirius and James are distantly related. Like, it goes crazy. I have no idea how they ended up being related to Granger. That one is a mystery to me, but apparently it's true. Now, because this is my channel, we're talking about the aesthetics. I love aesthetics here. I should mention, I've never mentioned this before, I have a Pinterest account where I have like a giant Marauders board, so if you're interested in like my own imagining of their whole aesthetics, you can go check that out if you want. Sirius, leather jackets, stars, very big on stars. Yeah. Black, the color black, dogs, Doc Martens. Regulus's aesthetic. Water! 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 He's associated with dark green, green Converses, dress clothes, and cats. I will never not make Regulus drowning jokes. Andromeda is associated with the color brown, tidiness, art. I said it's giving French. Her aesthetic is giving, like, France. Paris. It's giving Paris. Narcissa is associated with the color white and cream, like off-white. Her aesthetic is very like pure bows, dress clothes, but there's still an edge there because, you know, Voldemort. Bellatrix is associated with the color black and red. Her aesthetic is very skulls, blood, chaos. It's kind of giving Barty Crouch's aesthetic a little bit. I'm not giving their parents' aesthetics. Walpurga, no, you don't get aesthetic rights. The overall black family aesthetic is the color black. What a shocker. Who would have thought? Victorian, like richness. A very big thing is that like Grimmauld Place looks very Victorian and they all wear very like Victorian inspired like dress clothes because the blacks are so old that genuinely that is part of their aesthetic. Like they were Victorian royalty. Next, I'm going to talk about fanworks that depict the blacks. So these are very popular depictions of the House of Black, and a lot of people basically like base headcanons and fanon on like these works. The first one that I have to talk about is obviously the Sisters of House Black. Yeah, this one gets brought up a lot in my comments when I'm talking about the Black Sisters, so of course I had to mention it. This is one of the most popular and like successful Marauders era fan films, if not the most successful. It has 10 million views. This fan film was made by Kelsey Ellison. It is a very popular depiction of Black Sisters. You will often see many clips from this film being used in edits. Many of the actors are also fan cast as the characters that they're portraying. The film follows the Black Sisters' lives and it shows how they all end up in their canonical roles. It shows how they end up being who they are as adults. This does focus around all of the Black Sisters, although I would say that it's mainly Bellatrix centered. She has more of like a pivotal role in this. And when I watched Kelsey talk about it, she said that she wanted to show a female antagonist perspective because it's not a storyline that is often depicted. This film, the characters in it are the Black Sisters, Lucius, Sirius, Rodolphus, and Ted. This is a really cool fan film. It is around 40 minutes long, so it's a watch. It's a long watch, but it's worth it. I especially really loved the scene in the Black family household and the Hogwarts scenes because I'm just a sucker for Hogwarts scenes in fan films because I think they all look so cool. And I'm like, how do you all get castles? Where are your castles at? Where do I find a castle? The answer is I don't, because I don't live in Europe. The next fan work that I'm going to talk about is The Ascendant, which is by Mystery Productions. It's a popular depiction of the Black brothers. This is a short film, and it centers on Sirius and Regulus, and specifically Sirius leaving Grimmauld Place at 16. That is mainly the storyline here. This one is, however, mainly focused on Sirius, so it shows his story in more detail. And this short has the Black Sisters, Lucius, and Walpurga as characters. It's hard for me to say like my favorite scene from this because I love all of them. Especially really like the ending scenes where he's with Andromeda and oh, it also has James. Oh shit, it has James. So he's not a member of the Black family, so I didn't think to mention him, but it does have James in it as well, and Effie, James' mom. But one of my favorite scenes is with James and Andromeda. Sirius is being comforted after he leaves. I think those scenes, they hurt me, but they're so well done. The line "I don't have a brother" with the camera going back to Regulus standing alone that made me feel many things. I'm just gonna mention really quick, because this is my channel. I've made my own little Black House CMV cosplay music video. If you're interested to see my own interpretation of the Blacks, you can check that video out. I'm not including this in the Fanworks section. Mine is not popular. It's not, no. Although literally today I did see someone using some of my clips from that CMV in an edit, which is ridiculously cool. Oh my god. The last thing I'm going to talk about is fan art, because I love fan art on this channel. I find that a lot of video essays, they don't really feature that many like fan creations and things from the community, so that's why I always try to show appreciation to artists through my videos, because I think that the Marauders fandom is, it's literally created by artists. Like, we wouldn't have this stuff if it weren't for the fan works and fan arts, so that's why I always mention it. One of my favorite fan arts that I've seen is this one art, which is Sirius and Regulus split in Hogwarts. I love this art so much. There are so many details here, and it's just beautiful. I love it. Another personal of my favorites, I really like Likeafunerall's art of the 5 characters that I've been mainly talking about. This is just so beautiful. All of them are rendered so beautifully. All of them are facing their side profiles, but Sirius and Andromeda are facing more towards the camera, and they are lit up behind them, showing that they are separate from the family. It's just such a good detail, and it's so good. Here are some other fan arts that I really love. A lot of Black Brothers fan art that I find actually kills a part of my soul. I mean that positively. Like, it's so good, but it hurts so badly. Also just gonna throw in my own fan art here, which is specifically fan art of the Ascendant. One last thing that I want to mention is, sorry, my phone chimes are super loud. I haven't featured any edits in these videos so far, but I really want to talk about this one edit. Who was it made by? Livy Moons on TikTok. And it's an edit to Meet the Grams by Kendrick Lamar, and it's so good, and I love it. And this edit includes clips from the Fanworks that I've been mentioning, which just goes to show how popular they are. But yeah, if anything can sum this entire video up in vibes, it is this edit. I can't play the edit for copyright reasons, but I will be leaving the link to it in the description so that you can go watch it. This is not this is not an edit. I meant to mention this in my Slytherin Skittles video, that because I do a lot of research and I deep dive on social medias to find my info, my TikTok For You page ends up being a actual mess of nightmare. And directly after I finished doing the Slytherin Skittles video, I had this on my For You page. When I see things like this, it makes me wonder why I make these videos. A cutout of Timothy Chalamet as Regulus, and you're making him do the apple. What is happening? That's it from me. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. As always, thank you guys so much for all the support that you've been giving me. It is actually crazy how nice you've all been to me, and the amount of support that I've received in the last few weeks has been like literally mind-boggling. If you guys have any Marauders topics that you want me to do deep dives on, leave them in the comments below, and if, you know, multiple people want it, I will probably do it. I will see you all in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Goodbye.